Okay, so thanks for coming, first of all. This is the first 2 days of our 3 days of action. Yeah, this is just the beginning. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but let's, if we do this well, then the beginning might be enough. Yeah, let's hope we don't need a middle and an end. And let's certainly hope we don't need an end. Yeah. Because I think an end might be an all-out marking and assessment boycott, which could effectively become all-out industrial action. So, but I think we need at least to prepare ourselves for that possibility. Because if we're not prepared to take that kind of action, then we're not going to scare management into believing we'll take that action, coming to the table and negotiating. That's all we want. So I don't know if any of you saw I'm being upstaged, of course. I don't know if any of you saw Joe Grady was on Newsnight last night, so I thought I'd share a few bits of nuggets from that interview. Let me just run through that. So basically, I didn't know until I saw her say that we're asking for 13.6%. Yeah. So nurses are asking for 17.5. I think we're being completely reasonable in asking for what is effectively a 2.5% real terms pay cut. Pay rise.
We're not asking for a pay cut.
Instead of what we have been getting year on year for the last 10 years, which is a 2.5% pay cut. Yeah? So since 2009, your salaries, all our salaries, have gone down effectively by 25%, by quarter. Yeah? And that means that some of you are earning £7,000 to £10,000 less now than you should have been just after the financial crash. Yeah? So if you're wondering why you're struggling financially with your rent, with your mortgage payments, everything else, that's why. So also, what came up is in response to the come on phone, let me back in. In response to the obvious question that the universities don't have the money to pay for our pay rise, they do. Universities around the country have £400 billion in reserve. I'm not saying Greenwich have 400 billion, but all universities collectively do, and they could get together, they could use this time to work out some way that they can meet this very reasonable pay demand. They've also, all universities collectively, have put together over £4 billion on capital spend. That means buildings for next year. So they're going to spend £4 billion on buildings, but they can't spend a third of that on meeting our very reasonable pay request. Yeah. So it would take a third of that 40 billion to meet our pay request, or it would take a third of their reserves. It would take 3% of their reserves to meet our very reasonable pay request. So. And it's not all about pay, as you know. What we're asking for is to address casualisation. There are over 90,000 staff members on precarious contracts. We know them all. They're working in our departments. They're delivering our teaching. They're running modules. Sometimes they're running programs on an hourly pay basis with no permanency, no kind of support, etc. Yeah, it's totally outrageous, and this needs to be addressed, and it can be addressed very easily at no additional cost. The Open University were persuaded by UCU to move all of their precariously employed casual staff, 4,300 of them, onto permanent fractional contracts. It costs nothing, but it gave those staff members a degree of security as they came in to deliver the essential core teaching that we're asking them to do. It's also about, now I have to rehearse all of the grounds on which we're taking strike action, but I will, because they're all equally important. Pay differentials. There are huge pay differentials. They're not huge here at Greenwich. They're in the low, I think, between 3 and 9%, depending on whether you're talking about black staff, whether you're talking about women's staff, whether you're talking about staff with disabilities. But the point is, our university have recognised that there are differentials, and in terms of gender pay gap, they apparently, a bit like Boris's oven-ready plan, we've not seen it, so who knows, but apparently they have a plan to meet this and to address it by 2030. Our question here is, if you recognise it, if you've got a plan, why not address it now? Why not address it tomorrow? This year at the very least, yeah? Inequality is inequality and it's unacceptable, and we need to demand that it is addressed. What am I missing? Work notice. Work notice. Oh. God, please don't get me started on workloads. Yeah, no involuntary severance, no redundancies. Absolutely, they are coming for our members already, and they're coming for us. So colleagues around the university have been threatened with redundancy. Some of them are negotiating what are called, euphemistically, voluntary severance packages. They're not voluntary, and they're not a particularly good package either. And we need to resist that, because, as we all know, they may not be coming for us now, but if we let them go for these colleagues, then they will be coming for us sooner or later. And that also goes for the pensions. I've heard lots of people, well, I've heard some people say, it's USS, it's not our TPS pension. They've already messed with our TPS pension. I've got both anyway, so they're messing with both my pensions. But if they, what's happened with USS, just ever so briefly, because it is important that we recognise what's going on with our brothers and sisters in pre-92 universities, is that they did a completely fraudulent revaluation of the capital funds of the USS in the midst of the pandemic. What a surprise, they found that the valuation was low, they were missing money, and so they upped the contribution from employers and from employees, and they reduced the amount that they would get when they retired. Yeah? That has since been found to be fraudulent. There has been a proper revaluation, and there's plenty of money in the USS, and now they are resisting reversing those change in payments. So they need to be forced to do that. If they don't, if they get away with it, be sure they will be coming for TPS next.
Mm-hmm.
I think my battery died, so it's desperate. Hey! Yeah. A whole lorry load of governmental honesty and principle. Right. So where are we? Burnout workloads, yeah? I don't need to go on about burnout workloads. You're all experiencing it. But these are having real consequences in terms of stress, in terms of staff that are off on long-term sick leave. And the university, our university, have done a survey and they're withholding the results from us. We've been demanding those results. Ruth and I, through JNC, Angus, where's Angus? Oh, gone. Angus has through health and safety. They did it in July.
Yeah.
They did it in March. And they still haven't shared the results with us. Yeah. So we're demanding those results. And you can only assume they're not sharing the results because they're not good. Yeah. And you all know because you're experiencing it. So on to. Let's be positive. So that's why we're here, and that's why you're all here, and that's fantastic. But as I said, this is only the beginning, and it's really important that we don't just do what we always do, which is come out, picket, have some fantastic dancing, have loads of conversations which you never get to have with our colleagues, go away feeling positive, yeah, and thinking actually this is making a difference. It's not going to make any difference. If that's all we do, if this is all we do, it won't make any difference. Management are waiting it out. They're just going to say, okay, fine, and then we'll pick it again. We'll be back here in the new term, doing it again. Yeah, we can't stop at that. So we need to keep the momentum going from now on. How do we do that? Well, we do it by sharing, by skilling up. God, I'm sorry. This new management shit has got into my head. We need to share training opportunities, yeah? Leveling up. I'll share TUC, there's free TUC training, there's free UCU training. You don't need to actually become a rep. Do the rep training. Find out what the job of a rep is. Find out what the job of health and safety is. Find out what the law covering picketing is, yeah? The more that we can all kind of, I'm going to skill up. Someone give me some other phrase for it. The more we can
Learn. Educate ourselves. Empower.
There's a more socialist way of talking about it. The more we can empower ourselves, the better. So I'm going to share a calendar, a dynamic calendar of strike action. Yeah.
The best thing is have conversations.
Yeah. Have conversations with your colleagues. I can't disclose what our union density is here, but and we're actually good. I think we're good compared to other branches, but that's not good enough. If each of us had a conversation with one other colleague that wasn't a member of the union, we would double the size of our union. Yeah? A few more conversations and we'd have 100% union density. I'm not giving away the number. Yeah? So have those conversations, please. Shout out to psychology. They're fantastic. They're you know, they've more than doubled their union membership. So great. Same as sociology. They're really coming on. Other departments, business, some departments of business have always been brilliant. Other parts of business, nothing. They're a union desert. Yeah. So reach out into them. Have those conversations. Please ask them. Do you want to be paid less? Are you happy for your female colleagues to be paid less? Are you happy for these PhD students to be exploited on what are effectively zero-hour contracts? Yeah? No, of course not. Right. So I'm going to share a calendar because, as you well know, CWU are on strike today. So the posties are on strike today. There's also someone else on strike today. Can't think who.
EIS in Scotland, the night strike yesterday announced
just announced their dates. Yeah, so they will be coming out. The teachers are balloting, and I'm pretty sure they'll be coming out.
They're out in Scotland.
The RMT have announced 4 dates before Christmas and 4 dates after Christmas. I will put all of this in a calendar, or I will find a dynamic calendar.
Strike
more
map.
likely.
Strikemap.co.uk.
Strikemap.co is a good way, but what I want is a calendar, as well. And I'll share all of this with you via all of our social media and in the strike committee. So join the online strike committee, which will be meeting every day to help, empower ourselves and share information. So join that, join us on social media. I'll come to that in a second, and find this information. Why? Because I'd like 1, 2, 3 more of us to go along and stand with the nurses when they're balloting, when they're picketing, stand with RMT. It could be local. I'll go and stand in Waltham Forest where I live with RMT. I was at their last picket at Walthamstow, and I go along to the Enough is Enough and the People's Assembly. But if we all go along, wear your beanies, yeah. Take a placard or 2 along, yeah, and let's have a presence there. Our Marxist Society do. They do a fantastic job supporting all of these actions. So shout out to them. So we need to be doing it. And that way we will keep some of this energy and some of this momentum going into what I dread, but I anticipate will be further action in the new year. I can't see management buckling simply on the basis of this, yeah? But what I don't want is for us to reach May and have to have an all-out marching band, because that is really going to hurt our students, yeah? And that takes me on to, I'm not going to count them, 3rd, 4th thing, which is students. We're not going to win this without our student support. So have conversations legally with your students about what this is about, share information with them, get them to see, well, I'm sure most of them do see, they're locked into this neoliberal nightmare just like we are. Yeah? They're paying fees. There's a student in the news from yesterday, some of you will have seen, literally talking about herself as a customer. Just terrifying. So speak to your students. Let them know that it doesn't have to be like this. Yeah? Education can be, well, what we all envisage education should be, and once it was. Yeah. I'm looking at various strategies. obviously reaching out to GSU. Not holding out a huge amount of hope there, but you can remind your students to go along to the student assembly on the 30th of November, yeah, and make their voice heard. That's what happened last time, and so many students went along and made their voice heard that they cancelled the student assembly. They closed it down and they didn't take any votes. Let's at least make them do that again. Yeah, so they can show their hand at how undemocratic they have to be in order to close down the student's voice. I'm also looking to persuade some students. If you know any students, send them my way. I need five or is it 3? What was it? I said 4. It's 4. All we need are 4 students to set up a student society called a Staff Student Solidarity Society.
Yeah.
And they can then liaise around the back of GSU. They can liaise directly with students. We can set up social events. We can set up education events. We can meet. We can talk about the history of unions, how important. I can run a session on Know Your Rights, yeah,
Postgrads
and how you can protect yourself, hand out bus cards, and other things, yeah. So let's do that. Right. I don't want to keep you for long. My phone keeps impeding me. Nearly there. So, I think this is the last thing. Yeah, this is the last. Oh no, there's one more thing. And so, how we do all of this? We're going to have to do it via social media. Yeah. So, shout out to Emma. Fantastic things with Twitter. So at UCU Greenwich. If you're not already following us on Twitter, follow us on Twitter. Retweet, amplify our voice. Share all these resources. There's loads and loads of resources from all of the other UCU branches across the country. Let's share it. Let's use it. It's there for that. But Inez, shout out to Inez. Inez has very kindly accepted. She's an Insta person. Sorry, I'm showing my age. And it's going to bring us into the 21st century.
Yeah! Does that mean TikTok?
We need someone to volunteer for TikTok. If anyone is on TikTok, if anyone has a student who's on TikTok, let us know. I'm not even going to talk about Snapchat. I don't even know what Snapchat is. Snapchat, yeah. YouTube, we've got a YouTube channel, yeah? So we're going to start putting up short video clips, yeah? Again, share those.
Yeah, sharing the WhatsApp.
And Facebook, we've got a Facebook page. We're going to reinvigorate that and get that going as a place to share this stuff. Right, so last thing, and I'm not, sorry, I should have ordered this so we ended on a high. The last one is an ongoing project which, you know, some of those useful conversations we have on this picket line has reinvigorated it. Shout out to Kanisha.
Yeah!
Shout out to Minji next to her.
Yeah!
Basically, what they're going to do is, so Kanisha, if you didn't know, is our equalities officer. Yeah. Oh, and Minji is as well. All right. Fantastic. And basically, what we've been trying to do, I won't share the whole long, sad tale about it, but for as long as Ganesha's been equality officer, we've been trying to get representation on the various staff networks. Yeah, the BAME staff network, Women's staff network, Disability staff network, Wellbeing staff network. I don't know. There's loads. LGBT. Thank you. Oh gosh, I mustn't forget people. And we've been pushed back, yeah? We've been knocked back. All kinds of arguments. One is, if they give UCU a place at the table, then they'd have to give all the other unions. So what? Give them all a place at the table. What's the problem? The chair, the university chair, has now left the university, my PVC. So there'll be a new chair in. We're going to have another go at that. But we're not going to hold out for them to allow us to have a seat at the table. Lots of our members are already on those staff networks. So what we need is you, anyone who goes to these staff networks, also link in with Kanisha, link with Minjay, and let's infiltrate all of the staff networks, yeah? They're our staff networks. We should have representation on them, yeah? We should be talking about union rights in these staff networks. Absolutely. It crosses over disability, etc. So, yeah? So that's the last one. I'll quick open mic, shout out for anyone else that feels they deserve a shout out. I think Julia for dancing. I think Lola just for being Lola, and Tilly as well, obviously. Any? Anyone else? Open mic. Anyone else want to say? Ruth, do you want? No?
Well, shout out to
Ruth.
Ruth.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Ruth has done pretty much everything you see around this. The placards, you know, all the snacks, everything has been organised by Ruth.
Yeah!
Right, okay, so
Shout out to the pub.
one last thing is literally what we're doing next. So Wednesday, enjoy the weekend. We're going to go for a drink now down in the lower deck. Yeah. So lower deck now, but before that, next Wednesday we'll be back here on the picket, 8 till 11. So it'll be a really short picket. I have got a high. I've got a high. I need to find out who they are. Sorry, Julia, it's a natural high. I can't find their name here, but anyway, it looks as though, fingers crossed, we're going to have a community folk group come along and play. They've offered to come along free. They've asked when we're picketing, so I'll speak to them over the weekend and get them along. Yeah? Fantastic. Come along as well. Come along. Excellent. 8 to 11 on Wednesday. Yeah? No.
Next Wednesday.
Next week. Wednesday next week. 30th of November. So 30th of November, Wednesday next week, we will be back here picketing 8 to 11. And then we'll put away all our stuff and we'll head into London. Yeah? And plans are still developing. I'll stick it all in social media and in the WhatsApp group, so make sure you join those to find out. But it looks as though we will be meeting in Tavistock Square around 12 to meet up with contingents from London Region UCU. We'll be picking up UCU members from Birkbeck, from UCL, from Imperial. We'll be going and standing outside UCEA negotiations, which are happening 12:30, and we'll make some noise within the permits of the Police Crime Sentencing Courts Act. Yeah, so we'll disrupt a few people, and then we'll march on to join the main static march, whatever a static march is, outside King's Cross at 1 o'clock. So please join us. Please join us for the picket, 8 to 11, if you can. We will still have the 10:30 online strike committee. So if you can't be there, if you're ill, then join us online. If you can't come to the picket, either in person or online, then come and join us, and then come and head into town at 11. If you can't, then join us in Tavistock Square at 12. You're getting the idea. If you can't, then come to King's Cross at 1. And the last thing on King's Cross, I am hearing, and it's only rumours at this stage, that my old friends at Kiel, where I used to work, have booked a coach. I'm hearing that Cardiff have booked a coach. I'm hearing that Dundee have booked a coach. So I'm really hoping that this is the beginning of a really big demonstration, and there'll be coaches coming from all 147 universities around the country, all their banners, all their placards, 50 per university. We'll be talking thousands of people at King's Cross. So let's hope that, let's make that happen. All right, thanks everyone. So if you can give yourselves a shout, give yourself a round of applause. Fantastic.
Yay!
If a few of you can give us a hand, putting this